بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. Page through the pages daily to page Allah. This is the Qur'an. It is a direct communication with Allah Rabbul Alameen. الرجل على دين خليله. You will be on the religion of your companion. Make the Quran your companion. Make the book of Allah your companion, and you will be in His good books. Aamash used to say, وَمِمَّا رَفَعَنِي اللَّهُ بِهِ الْقُرْآنِ. I can attribute my success and elevation only because of the Quran. Hasan R.A used to say, Wallah ma dun al-Quran min ghinan wala ba'dahu min faqa. That after the Quran there is no success, there is no wealth, and after it there is no poverty. Means through the Quran, whatever you need to achieve, you will achieve it through the Quran. That's the miracle of the Quran. So when we make in tilawat of Quran, make a niyat of drawing the mercy of Allah. Qul bi fadlillahi wa bi rahmatihi. The bounty of Allah and His mercy. فَلْيَفْرَحُوا. Rejoice. So Allah should flood me what is fadl, His favor, His grace. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has favored us excessively in all aspects, and we should see in every situation, no matter how bad it may be, believe that Allah's favor is still on us. Like as Thanwi used to explain, then that if relatives and friends do not express love, then one should be relieved. Why? Because they think that Allah, they should think this here and make this muraqabah, that now Allah has freed my heart from ghayrullah, from everyone else besides Allah. Because if everybody turns away from a person, then he learns that nobody is worthy of being loved besides Allah. Everyone you ask when you're in need, when you are not in need, then they're there for you, enjoying all the luxuries. But the day you're in need, then you'll see who's your friends indeed. So through this Quran, no matter what the situation is, well, we understand that the fadl of Allah and the favor of Allah is on me. The sixth Imam of Qiraat, Imam Hamza bin Ismail Az-Zayyat Al-Kufi. So he was called Zayyat because he used to sell olive oil. And although he came from a progeny of captives, Persian captives, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted him for the service of the Quran, and amongst the great masters of Quran Qira'ah. And his routine every month, 27 or 28 khatams. And he tried his best to stay far away from show. And one day he said, just as a person can be led astray after guidance or become black after being white, similarly recitation can become just a tune after one starts to be pretentious to do it for show. So this qiraat, and Allah protect one in all, and then it's just about the show and how many listeners I have, and it becomes a routine. And he was very particular not to take any khidmah service from his students, to such an extent that if they poured water for him, he would not drink from that goblet. So he didn't want to take istighna, and that's one of the sifat of the Ahlullah, to be independent of the makhluk and dependent on Khaliq, Allah Rabbul Alameen. The second Imam of the Qiraat Ashra, Imam Ibn Kathir al-Makki, he also used to sell perfumes, fragrances, and he was called Dari. So likewise Hafs bin Sulaiman, also he was a great Imam of Qira'ah, used to sell clothes. So tijarat is not khilaf, trading is not khilaf of deen. These great scholars also wanted to be independent. Imam Hanifa was a great tajir, likewise Abdullah ibn Mubarak ibn Jawzi, they were all textile merchants. And so for an alim to do trade is not a flaw, it's not a blemish. Likewise Anbiya alayhimus salatu wassalam as well. Hazrat Adam alayhi salam was a farmer, Nuh alayhi salam carpenter, Idris alayhi salam tailor, Hud Salih businessman, Ibrahim Lut farming, Shu'aib livestock, wool, milk, Dawood blacksmith, manufacture of armor, Sulaiman alayhi salam weaving baskets, etc, radiyallahu alayhimus salam. So discussing fadl, ulama have said az-ziyada al-iqtisad means something that is surplus, that is excess. So one is mahmud, praiseworthy, like ilm, knowledge, perseverance. One is madmum, rebuked, like anger. So getting angry is not praiseworthy, but getting angry for deen and the right amount of anger and the right words to say to solve that problem, that will become praiseworthy. And then this fadl, when it's compared to things, there are three types. One is min hayth, with regards to jins, class, like loving over vegetation, so you cannot compare that. Then min haythul no, with regards to the category, like the virtue of humans over all other animals, all other creations. وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions وَفَضَّلْنَاهُمْ عَلَى كَثِيرٍ مِّمَّنْ خَلَقْنَا تَفْضِيلًا. Then with regards to Zat, the nature, the essence, and that's between human beings, some have been favored. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is فَضَّلَ بَعْضَكُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ فِي الرِّزْقِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has favored some of you with regards to rizq. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has favored men over women. الرِّجَالُ قَوَّامُونَ عَلَى النِّسَاءِ بِمَا فَضَّلَ اللَّهُ. Allah is given favor there. Then Anbiya alayhimus salam, وَلَقَدْ فَضَّلْنَا بَعْضَ النَّبِيِّينَ عَلَى بَعْضٍ. So that's with regards to the favoring. And generally by nature, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given fadl to those that are grateful and those that are ungrateful as well. Inna Allah ladhu fadlin ala nas walakin akthara an-nas la yashkurun. They are ungrateful, but Allah's fadl is still on them, even though they don't obey Allah, they don't have sincerity. And who are the fortunate to get these favors? There are 5 categories. Number 1, Ahlul Iman wa bashiril mu'minin bi'anna lahum min Allahi fadlan kabira. Then for the people of Amal, Ashabul Amal, those that do good deeds, لِيَجْزِيَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. Then those whom are grateful or ungrateful, وَإِنَّ رَبَّكَ لَذُو فَضْلٍ عَلَى النَّاسِ. Then whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala desires from people, means in humanity, all of the humans. ذَلِكَ فَضْلُ اللَّهِ يُؤْتِيهِ مَن يَشَاءُ. And then جَمِيعَ الْمَخْلُوقَاتِ, all the creation of Allah. وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ ذُو فَضْلٍ عَلَى الْعَالَمِينَ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is such a being who is the giver to those who are not worthy, even though this insan does not appreciate and he does not show any gratitude, but Allah favors. This is fadl. Whereas the people of the dunya, you do one good, they remind you your whole life. And sometimes you want to do good to somebody and they do harm to you. So Allah's fadl is on another level, unlike insan. So like a minister seen a youngster standing at the back of the church, and he recognized him because a few months before that he performed his wedding ceremony. So when the minister finished the service, then the youngsters waiting to talk to him. So he spoke to the minister and said, "Tell me, do you believe that someone should profit from the mistakes of others? Do you believe someone should profit from the mistakes of others?" So he said, "Definitely not." So the youngster said, "In that case, can I have back the $50 I paid you for the wedding? Can I have back the $50? So fadl, Allah's fadl compared. That's why when people ask you Allah's fadl, Allah's shukr, lakh shukr. This is a muawara, a statement as well. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has favored His servants in different ways, and other ulama have listed 6. So the word Dhul Fadl is mentioned 12 times in the Quran. Dhul Fadlil Azim. So 12 places. And Allama Hulaymi has said, Dhul Fadl wal Muni'amu amma la yulzimuhu. That you favor somebody who you don't need to favor. You don't need to be good to. And Allama Qurtubi, in this description, Dhul Fadl is saying Al-Ihsan Al-Amim. Allah's favor is encompassing everybody. A'ta khalqahu malan. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given His creation such bima la yajibu alayhi, which is not necessary on Allah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ra'uf, is Rahim, and He has favored His creation with bounties which He did not need to favor. And that's why وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. So first was بِأَنْوَاءِ النِّعَمْ, for all the bounties, وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ ذُو فَضْلٍ عَلَى الْعَالَمِينَ. Then secondly is favor on the mu'mineen, where Allah had protected them from His enemies, their planning, their plotting. حَسْبُنَ اللَّهُ وَنِعْمَ الْوَكِيلُ. So in situations where they were in need, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala favored them. وَاتَّبَعُوا رِضْوَانَ اللَّهِ وَاللَّهُ ذُو فَضْلٍ عَظِيمٍ. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them deen, and they could be protected from going astray and following shaitan. وَلَوْلَا فَضْلُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ وَرَحْمَتُهُ لَاتَّبَعْتُمُ الشَّيْطَانَ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. So this is the favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَعَلَّمَكَ مَا لَمْ تَكُنُ تَعْلَمُ وَعَلَّمَكَ مَا لَمْ تَكُنْ تَعْلَمُ وَكَانَ فَضْلُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكَ عَظِيمًا. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's favor is giving respite and not taking people to task for their sins. So وَلَوْلَا فَضْلُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ وَرَحْمَتُهُ فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ لَمَسَّكُمْ فِي مَا أَفَضْتُمْ فِيهِ عَذَابٌ عَظِيمٌ. Then the favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have this vision, to obey Him, to make tawbah and istighfar, and for Allah to forgive a person. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إن تتقوا الله يجعل لكم فرقانا ويكفر عنكم سيئاتكم ويغفر لكم والله ذو الفضل العظيم ولولا فضل الله عليكم ورحمته ما زكى منكم من أحد أبدا. So again, the fadl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then lastly, He gave this insan more than they are worthy of. فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ فَيُوَفِّيهِمْ أُجُورَهُمْ وَيَزِيدُهُمْ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ لِيَجْزِيَهُمُ اللَّهُ أَحْسَنَ مَا عَمِلُوا وَيَزِيدَهُمْ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. So Allah's generosity knows no limits, this fadl, this grace, and we need to draw this grace from tilawat of Quran. And if you look at it, if man, insan, who has limited generosity, is so generous, then how generous is Allah Rabbul Alameen? There was a nurse who seen somebody who was tired and anxious to meet somebody in the ward. So she showed him the ward, and there was an old man in the ward, and she said, "Your son is here." So the patient didn't hear it, so she repeated the word several times before he opened his eyes. And he was sedated with the medication. He had a heart attack, and he could not really see this youngster standing there, and he was on oxygen. So he reached his hand out, and the youngster wrapped his fingers around the old man's, and he squeezed it. So the nurse brought a chair, and he sat there the entire night. He passed the entire night holding the old man's hand and giving him words of consolation. So sometimes when a nurse came, seen him still sitting there next to the bedside, felt him sorry and just said, "You know what, you need to take a rest." So he refused. And whenever she came, he just continued being at the bedside, and everybody was carrying on their normal routine. And now and again he gave the old man some consolation. And this old man, as he was on his last, didn't say anything, only held tightly to his son all through the night. And when dawn appeared, his ruh left him. So now the son left the man's hand, and he went to inform the nurse. So she tried to resuscitate and do what needed to be done, but they were unsuccessful. So she started sympathizing with this youngster, and then he interrupted her. He said, "Who was this old man?" She was shocked and baffled. "Your father, isn't it?" He said, No. I never saw him before in my life. I haven't seen this old man in my life. I came to see somebody else." She said, "But why didn't you say something when I came to him?" He said, "I knew at that point in time it was a mistake, and I knew he needed a son. His son wasn't there. And when I realized he was too sick to tell whether I or not I was his son, and I knew how much he needed me. I knew, and I realized, and then I decided that I will stay. So otherwise I never knew him at all. So if this is the ihsan and the goodness which the creation can do to the creation, then what fadl and what favor will Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do to us? So when making tilawat of Quran, we should make a niyyah as well, that Allah's fadl is so unlimited. Ya Allah, from your treasures, from your khazana, let me draw from this fadl and favor. The amal for today is to fill the gap in the rows. Man sadda furjatan rafa'ullah biha darajatan. Allah will raise the rank of one who fills the gap in the sufuf rows. Wa bana lahu baytan fil jannah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will build for him a house in Jannah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq of making amal. آخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.